Opening round then of the scheduled 10 rounds middleweight battle, and it has all the ingredients of being an intriguing fight. Southpaw in the red trunks there is Jimmy Price from Liverpool, and it's Kenny Whetstone of Miami, whose brother Steve boxed Keith Wallace and lost at Bloomsbury in London. And of course Price and Wallace are stablemates as well as town mates. So unbeaten then, Jimmy Price. 11 fights and stopped 7 opponents. But Whetstone knows the score. He's had 27 wins and only 3 losses, and he's reversed 2 of those decisions. He's considered, as they say in the States, a bit of a hot number in his state. And I wouldn't have thought the toughness of Price will bother him, because Whetstone has been sparring, he said, with Mustafa Hamsho, who's one of the hardest nuts in the middleweight division. So really, Price has got to outsmart him more than try and help punch him, I think. He looks a wiry character, but in fact, Price is a very strong fighter indeed, and proved that in the amateur ranks when he won the Commonwealth Games. And he did that in style, I promise you. He did it in 2 minutes and 34 seconds against an Australian Doug Sam. But so far, Whetstone doesn't look a bad fighter. He actually looks a bit heavier, I thought, Jim, than Price, but in fact at 11.6, he's 3 pounds lighter, the American.
Yeah, well, he's a bit smaller, and he's very broad, very squat, but Jimmy has a very good height for a middleweight. Jimmy's a lot going for him, as a matter of fact, at middleweight. His height, he's a southpaw, he's a good thinking fighter. If he just gets behind his jab for the first round here till we see what Whetstone can do.
A little bit of prejudice, I think, there. What are you talking about, southpaws and smart? No, I've got a feeling you used to box a bit like that. But no, seriously, I agree, because he has been impressive. We've seen him win his last fight in Liverpool against Manuel Jimenez, and he stopped him in the last round. He just retired. He was fed up with being outpointed, and he just come back from fighting Tony Simpson, and it looks as though he's got Whetstone on the run in the opening round. Left eye swelling already, Whetstone. He's just as ambitious as the flyweight brother, and I would think that they will have something to remember Liverpool. I mean, lost to Wallace, the brother, and now he's really in trouble here. Stamps the authority on a fight a bit quick these days, Jimmy Price. There's good variety of punches coming at him from all angles. So we just need that countdown to the end of this round, Jim. Second round, and certainly a good opening round for Price. And he's really settling down now. He trains very hard indeed, Jimmy Price. I've seen him at work. He trains mostly now in London, because he doesn't ever want to give up the hometown. It's Islington, London, not Islington, Liverpool, as the MC announced him. American's got plenty of spirit, though. That's one good thing. As they say in the States, he really comes to fight. That's something. They're full of running, the Whetstone brothers. Being seconded by a Cuban who lives in Miami and speaks very little English. In fact, Kenny Whetstone is married to a Cuban lady. Plenty of spirit and ambition here. They're both 23. I wouldn't have thought Whetstone has fought this kind of opponent. Probably hasn't fought many southpaws anyway, but not one as smart as Jimmy Price, who knows how to tie a man up, as you can see there. I would have thought he's a bit surprised by that opening round, Whetstone, Jim. He realises this fella stings a bit, doesn't he?
Yeah, well, Price is the ideal style for American opposition. Stand-up box with a long jab. The Americans can't cope with a good jab too well. They like to bob and weave and come inside. And already Price has been landing well with the jab.
taps his gloves together a bit, Whetstone. I don't think that signals a certain punch coming. I just think that's a question of trying to loosen himself up, isn't it? Do you notice he's doing that a few times?
Yeah, I think he's just getting ready to unload. He wants to let them go in bursts because he can't trade jabs with Price. So I think he's trying to let 1 or 2 punches go at the one time. But it's a difficult job he has tonight.
Well, the locals were applauding the defensive bit there by the American. Quite impressed, I think they were, that Price couldn't straighten him up, but he's going to with a left-hand uppercut. He tried to reach for it there, Price. Notice that with the left hand coming now. He really is trying to pick that one up. Half a minute to go in the second. There it is, missed it. They probably look nothing from the back of the hall, actually, Jim, but those little punches inside sting a bit, don't they?
Yeah, they're good punches. I can see an improvement in Price's work even in his last 2 contests. He's not quite so mechanical now. He's more inclined to let some punches go now than he was even like a couple of months ago. But some of these punches, as you say, are pretty sharp.
So there's Jimmy Price then, quite pleased with his night's work so far, isn't he? As I say, recently had a good win against an American, Jimenez, who'd lasted 8 rounds with Tony Simpson. In the replay in that round there, you can see as Price is sort of trying to step his way in there a little bit, just getting within punching range. He hasn't quite made it at times. He's missed with a few shots. In fact, this was the no-hit spasm. Round 3. And just a little no dip in power with Jimmy Price, but a little bit with the ring lights. I've had a few lights have gone there, I see, in the ring. I shouldn't think the fighters even notice that, do they?
No, I don't think so. They're there. As long as your own lights don't go out, I don't think you're too worried about things.
The referee just reminded them now not to pose too much, but to get on with the work. The problem is you don't want the referee to hurry you into mistakes. There's some blood showing now around the American's face. And Price trying to nail him in Price's own corner there. Just a cut. Looks like under the eye. It looks a pretty bad one, I think. That's a pity, because it's just warming up into a good fight. No, perhaps it's not. It's hard to tell. I'm not taking them. What do you think, Jim?
Yeah, I think there's a cut there. I think, believe it or not, Price wiped the blood away with that last punch, but I think there is a cut over the left, or just under the left eye.
So there you are. The lights have lifted up again now. You can really see the cut eye now around the left hand eye. Oh, that left hand uppercut. I'm impressed the way he does that. He stands really flat-footed to get a maximum power in it. Doesn't always turn his body into the punch, but it's strong enough with just the arm movement. Getting a bit one way now. He's picking off as he wants to. This is surprising because Whetstone came with some good credentials, and I suppose it's not so surprising if you know that Jimmy Price is probably a bit underrated, isn't he? As you say, Jim, has improved this last few fights, hasn't he?
Yeah, I can see an improvement over the last couple of fights. Whetstone has to come forward before he would have any success, and Price isn't allowing him to come forward. That's the reason he's running out of ideas. Price is doing the right thing, trying to push him back all the time whenever he can.
I'm pleased to say that the damage on the American's face doesn't look that bad. It did when it first happened, but it's surprisingly enough to have got better, if that's possible. Well, they won't after those punches, that's for sure. Well, that'll stop him walking back to his home corner as we come up to the end of the round. And it's all Price. staggered a little bit going back to the corner there. So the Cuban second got to work hard there on Whetstone. And it's right in the corner of the eye. That must sting when they put that coagulant on like that, Jim.
Second out, round 4.
Fourth round. And it's 3-0 on my card anyway to Price, and I'm sure nobody could argue with that, not even Whetstone. But they seem to have patched that little cut up, as you could see. It's right in the corner, a very difficult place for a second to get to with the adrenaline swabs. If we're talking about Price getting into the real mainstream now, the top stuff, Jim, he's just got to throw a few more punches when he's got his man on the hook. Perhaps I'm being a little bit overcritical, but I'd like to see him do that.
Yeah, well, time's on his side, thankfully. He shouldn't be in any rush. He's improving, and if he improves at the steady rate he has been doing over the last few months, then there's nothing to worry about. We know he'll get there in time. But I wouldn't like to see him rushed.
It gives the impression Whetstone being a bit unsteady on the legs at times. I don't know whether that's just a mannerism or when he moves around there. He stumbled in the coming back to the corner at the end of the round.
It's difficult to cope with steady pressure, and Price is putting him under steady pressure. As you see here, he doesn't know where to go. He doesn't know how to cope.
And it looks as though he stopped it. Yes, he has it. Some people would say it's premature, but I've never criticised a referee for stopping a contest too soon than too late. And it was getting a bit one-sided in the fourth round. I think Whetstone will say we have tougher fights in the gymnasium than that without being stopped. Did you agree, Jim, or not?
Yeah, well, it was one-way traffic. I don't think Whetstone was hurt there. He probably could have continued, but his heart seemed to have gone out of the fight a bit. So better too soon than too late when a fight stopped, I always say.
Let's have a look at the replay there. You see, he's a bit distressed, Jim, isn't he? He's really looking not for a way out necessarily, because he's a game enough guy. But there, I said just before that his legs were stumbling a bit, and the referee obviously agreed.
Jimmy Price, many congratulations. I would think that must be one of the most satisfying wins of your career.
Yeah, it was a very good win, because this guy I fought tonight, Whetstone, he was very, very highly rated in the American division. So it was a good win for me tonight.
You seem to be a lot more relaxed. There seems to be a lot more variety about your work tonight.
Well, as I said, Jim, as each fight goes on, I'm starting to cool the pace down a bit. Instead of just throwing, you know, stupid flurries as an amateur, I'm now getting my shots together. And another 5 more fights, I should be really hot.
Were you surprised when the referee stepped in as quickly as he did?
Not really, no, because the guy was taking some punishment. So I knew it was only a matter of time, because he had a bad cut over his eye. It would either be a stoppage on a cut or a knockout. But I knew it was just a matter of time. The punches were going together. I would have finished this guy.
If there was one thing that particularly pleased you about your work tonight, what was it?
The way I did it in a good, professionally relaxed way. That's how it should be, and that's how all my fights are going to be now.
Good. Well done, Jimmy. Smashing performance. Thanks for talking
Jim.
to us.